Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Champions Network TV in collaboration with NTWG TV, platforms where bold conversations shape the future. I am your host, Mija. Tonight, we turn our attention to a country blessed with extraordinary potential, yet burdened by persistent economic and political challenges in this country, Zimbabwe. For decades, Zimbabwe stood as a paradox, a nation rich in minerals, fertile land, and highly educated people. Yet millions of its citizens continue to face economic unemployment and uncertainty about the future. Inflation has eroded the savings. Current instability has shaken confidence, and many of our brothers and sisters have been forced to seek opportunity elsewhere. But the question remains, why is a country with so much promise struggle for so long to unlock its prosperity? Is the challenge purely economic, or is it rooted in governance, policy, and leadership choices? Tonight, we take a deeper look at this issue. We will examine the state of the Zimbabwean economy, the political dynamics that shape it, and the possible pathways forward to recovery. Joining us tonight is Tafadzwa Munjanja, a trained lawyer and national treasurer for the National Democratic Working Group, who brings both technical and insight and political perspective to this discussion. We will explore the realities that face Zimbabwe today, the structural challenges within the economy, and importantly, economic policies being proposed by the National Democratic Working Group. Our goal tonight is not just a debate or a conversation, but to interrogate ideas, challenge assumptions, and explore solutions that could help Zimbabwe realize its full potential. Our viewers, um, our viewers across the diaspora, on the continent, and around the world, thank you for joining us. Your voices, your experience, and the perspective remain important in this conversation about Zimbabwe's future. This is Champion Network TV in collaboration with National Democratic Working Group TV. And let's begin. Munjanja, welcome.
No, thank you, Mija. I appreciate you inviting me to Champions Network TV to discuss the issues of our country, to discuss the economy, and what can be done to really unlock the potential of our country. So I greatly appreciate it.
Maybe our viewers may want to know who is Tafadzwa Munjanja.
No, thank you. Tafadzwa Munjanja was born and raised in Manicaland province. Grew up in Manicaland province. Was educated. I was educated in Manicaland from primary education to tertiary education. And having gotten my bachelor's degree in accounting at Africa University. So pretty much all of my life, I grew up in Manicaland. I eventually made my way out of the great province of Manicaland after I graduated to pursue, employment opportunities in Harare. That's when I worked at Old Mutual for briefly for a year. And then from there, I transitioned to pursue further education, where I attained a Master of Science degree in accounting here in the United States. So I'm in the accounting profession. But other than accounting, my passion has been my country. Very, very, very much invested in everything that goes on in Zimbabwe in terms of our people, in terms of the economy, the politics. I remain grounded in the desire to see a better Zimbabwe. And so, as such, I've been involved in politics, in the politics of Zimbabwe, since my university days at Africa University, into my adult years now, having been part of the MDC Alliance, MDCT, the Triple C, and of course now the National Democratic Working Group, led by our chief facilitator, Job Sarowiwa Sikala.
Ah, thank you very much for such an experience. And to our viewers, please like, subscribe, and share this link so that we can listen to this informative conversation. He is a man who was born, raised in Manicaland, then moved to Harare, did his studies, and now in the United States, but still passionate about Zimbabwe.
Yes.
My first question to you, as a starting point, as I said in my opening remarks, Zimbabwe has faced economic and political challenges for decades. From your perspective, what is the true state of Zimbabwe today, politically and economically?
Yeah, I think Zimbabwe continues to suffer from poor economic performance in terms of the general function of the economy, in terms of the infrastructure development that the country should be having, in terms of the employment that the citizens of Zimbabwe so desire. We continue to face a lot of economic challenges, even in terms of our own currency. We continue to find that there's references to the ZiG currency, yet in reality, on the ground, the United States dollar is indeed the formal currency that a lot of people transact in. So the economy continues to suffer, and you can continue to see that in how people are really struggling to make a living in Zimbabwe. Just last week, we did see that article of a vendor who was cooking sadza in the streets of Harare, trying to sell to make a living. Unfortunately, again, we've since said that he's been remanded or asked to report to a police station. For a man who's really trying to eke out a living, to find a way to take care of their families, yet again they arrest this person, yet there's more people who are actually responsible for the destruction of our economy and our country who really should be behind bars today. But as such, it is the nature of our country, unfortunately.
Thank you very much. I know Tafadzwa, you are a trained accountant. When you look at Zimbabwe's national finance, what concerns you most?
What concerns me most is the corruption within government, the lack of accountability within government, and really the involvement of political elites within ZANU PF in how the economy of Zimbabwe should operate. So those are but corruption is the one of the biggest challenges that we have, and we do have a political issue in terms that is tied directly to economy, which is the issue of the rigging of elections, the imposition of presidents, um, and just disputed elections that continue to dog us all the way since even the formation of the MDC. So the issue of legitimacy is directly tied to our economy, and the repression of our people is directly tied to the performance of our economy. If we truly have an open democratic country where people's will to elect their leaders is free and democratic, I think our economy, there would be a direct correlation to the performance of our economy. But when you have a political party in the name of ZANU-PF that continues to impose its will on the people of Zimbabwe, and in addition continues to be corrupt in how they're governing the country, then this is the result. We have a poor performing economy and citizens who continue to suffer and citizens who continue to leave the country in search of greener pastures elsewhere.
Thank you for answering that. That you are very worried about corruption, but the government is saying we have got very good economic policies, we are performing well, so they need extra time so that they can rule until 2030. What is your view to that?
I don't understand what extra time they need. They've been ruling and governing the country since 1980. And what is there to show for today in 2026 that they need 2 years? What is 2 years going to do to anything? And besides, the Constitution clearly subscribes that a presidential term or a president only has 2 terms, after which you cannot stand for office anymore. And so, truly, by the letter of the Constitution, Emerson Mnangagwa should not be on the ballot in 2028. It's as simple as that. Now they're trying to impose through an amendment to give him 2 more years to do what? Emerson Mnangagwa has been in government at the senior most highest level since 1980. And so what is it that he has not been able to do all these years? I think that this is why our economy continues to suffer, because if you look at it, since the 2023 election, it is ZANU-PF that has continued to be in an election mode. They seem to be in a campaigning mode instead of really focusing on the fundamentals issues of our economy, the health sector, the infrastructure, education. But you see them at rallies talking about extending the term of office to 2030. They began this discussion since 2024. They're not focused on governing the country, but just about supremeness and power. And so I don't think that they need any more time. If they want more time, they should put a new ZANU-PF candidate to contest in 2028. It is their absolute constitutional right to do so. The ZANU-PF has many people within their ranks. They can elect a new person to lead their party and contest in 2028. I don't know why they're not using that route, and why they're trying to go through an amendment to extend one man's term by 2 years. So I don't think he's going to achieve anything. He's been in government since 1980, and we are where we are. 4 million Zimbabwean citizens have left the country because they cannot find any opportunities in Zimbabwe. So I don't think extending his term will add any value to the lives and to the lives of the masses of our country.
Let's come to the Zimbabwe economy. Zimbabwe is a vast mineral. Why is that not translated into prosperity for ordinary people?
Yeah, I think that the issue of our minerals is a very, very unfortunate issue of our country, because our country is blessed with vast minerals. We can talk about gold. Zimbabwe almost has one of the largest deposits of gold, and has been producing gold even since independence. We talk about platinum. Zimbabwe continues to, think about it. Zimbabwe is the second largest has the second largest platinum reserves in the world after South Africa. And let's just repeat that: the second largest platinum reserves in the world after South Africa. Diamonds. We had Tafadzwa diamonds. Again, Zimbabwe has one of the largest. In fact, they say we had one of the largest diamond discoveries in the world at Tafadzwa. Alluvial diamonds that are low cost to extract. Lithium. Let's talk about lithium. Again, one of the largest lithium deposits in Africa. And guess what? Lithium is what is critical for electric vehicle batteries and energy storage in the world. People, different countries are in search of this lithium. Lithium is, I don't know if you can use lithium is like gold right now, or lithium, but it's in demand and we have it in our country, right? We have coal. Okay, coal, there's the issue of pollution, but again, we have it. And there's way to extract and to generate energy using clean coal anyway. There are ways to do it. And so you look at this is now going into our domestic issues in terms of the generation of electricity, right? Okay, one would think, you're done. No, we have chrome. Zimbabwe has chrome. One of the largest reserves of chrome is in Zimbabwe. Chrome is used to make what? Stainless steel. Stainless steel, which is in demand in the world as we speak today. And our chrome is right concentrated right there on the Great Dyke. So, Misha, in a population of 15 million people, plus or minus, okay, let's say 16 million, a population of 16 million people with all these natural resources, and they're not just trinkets, they're not trinkets of resources. How many times was I referring to the largest, the largest, the largest? And then you translate and look at the state of the economy, the way Zimbabweans are living right now in Zimbabwe, the suffering. You look at our infrastructure, the state of our roads, the state of our hospitals, the state of our education. Does it make sense that people are suffering? There is a governance issue around the extraction or the production and the accountability of the mining of our minerals in Zimbabwe. So we have serious issues, and it is unacceptable. But that is the governance issue that I've highlighted to say ZANU-PF has failed to unlock all these mineral resources that we've been blessed with. They failed to unlock these resources to the benefits and for the wealth of our masses of our people. They failed. And this is just minerals that we've talked about. Zimbabweans could be wealthy, a wealthy nation just with minerals. But yet there are other things about our economy that we can talk about today. The fertile soils. We've not even talked about that. We're just really talking about minerals. So I'll stop there and let you come in for a little bit.
Right. To our viewers, if you have got any comment, question, put them in the chat box, and the Tafadzwa will answer for you, or I will respond to them for you. Munjanja, millions of Zimbabweans have left the country, including you and me. You are in the United States, I am in the UK. What
Correct.
does it say about the state of our economy?
Sorry, I missed the last part.
I said millions of Zimbabweans have left the country, including yourself. You are in the
Correct.
United States, in the United States, and myself in the United Kingdom. What does this say about the state of our economy in Zimbabwe?
Yeah, the mass migration of Zimbabwean professionals out of Zimbabwe is another indicator that the economy continues to be depressed. People started migrating and leaving Zimbabwe, especially in masses around the early 2000s. And that has continued to grow through the years. It has not slowed down. If you think about the number of Zimbabweans, even recently, in the last 5 years, who left to come to the UK to do COS jobs, thousands of Zimbabweans left. How many Zimbabweans are crossing the Limpopo River every year to go and try to find employment in South Africa? This is a direct indication that the economy of Zimbabwe is not able to sustain the people of its country. It means that the unemployment, if you look at the unemployment rate in Zimbabwe, it's about 95%, which means that any young person who's graduating from a university, a college, a vocational training education center, 95% of them are most likely not going to find employment. And because of those pressures, you're a young adult, you've just finished, you have the hope, the pursuit of happiness, you're excited, you've graduated, you're thinking, I've worked so hard all my life to graduate from the University of Zimbabwe or from NAST University or from MSU or from Africa University, and you're thinking, now I can now go into the economy to find a job. Then you go in there's no employment whatsoever. And because of that, a lot of young people have left because there's no opportunity. It just gives young people so much pressure because you're now a young adult. How can you continue to live under your parents' roof? Continue to ask for money from your parents or from relatives, and you're not able to sustain yourself. And that's the situation that we find in our country. So it's a direct link to the poor economy, the unemployment, the inability of young people or even adults to be able to take care of their families. Because part of the issue is also that they're not earning enough income to take care of their families. You have children that need to go to school. You want to provide a decent life for your family, good house, good accommodation, whether it's rental or just the ability to or be able to purchase your own home. A lot of Zimbabweans are not able to do that. So because of that, they resort to finding opportunities outside of the country. And obviously, the major destinations are South Africa, the United Kingdom, Canada, United States. So it's really because our economy has failed to provide the opportunities for the young people, for the young adults, for the adults to be able to take care of their families. And that's why they're leaving.
Yeah, sure. It's not age discriminatory. We find adult people who are already reaching their retirement still migrating to grow up,
Yes.
right? Right.
Yes. And it's so sad. It's so sad when you find a 46, 48-year old, family migrating and trying to establish themselves and learn how to live in the diaspora. It's so sad because it's difficult, but they're pressed they're in a hard place. When they're in Zimbabwe, they're failing to sustain and to take care of their families. So they make the sacrifice to say, you know what, regai timboedzawo zviri ku UK uko toona kuti zvinobuda. Literally, you're stuck.
To be honest with you, some people they will realize when they migrated that actually they are in a worse situation than they were back home. Because some people are selling their properties and everything just to get free passage to go to this Western world. When you find today work is hard, no support system, quite hard. But that's the reality for,
Hmm.
for
That's an unfortunate reality. Yes, it's so sad. When you see people going through the suffering of immigration issues in the diaspora, it is sad. It is so sad. And so that's when some of us, we begin to just try to fight so hard to be able to hopefully bring some sort of political transformation that will allow Zimbabweans to pursue their happiness in our own country and not have to find the need to migrate. In a country where the choice to migrate is yours, but if you migrate or you go for education, you are flexible enough to say, you know what, I belong to a country with a functioning economy. Once I graduate, I'm going back to Zimbabwe. That's what we want.
Right. Let's come to agriculture and production.
Yes.
Zimbabwe used to be known as the breadbasket of Africa. What went wrong?
Well, obviously, the land reform program is really what changed a lot of the issues. Now, the land reform issue is a very sensitive issue in terms of, how it was executed at the time in 2000 when the war veterans started invading the farms and so forth. And quite frankly, thinking about it, that since 1980, that is what the liberation struggle was about, the ownership of land of the black person, that really, in the empowerment of the black person. And to think that up to 2000, this had not been accomplished, absolutely, you can understand that something had to be done. The manner in which it was done is what was problematic and what led to the disruption in agriculture, in terms of the commercial production, or in terms of just meeting the needs of food in Zimbabwe. We think that, even from a National Democratic Working Group perspective, that the land reform program could have been done in a much better way. Like I said, the frustration was really that this issue had dragged for too long and something needed to be done. But the manner in which it was done is what was disruptive. Now, if you look at it now, presently, you can ask to say, what can be done now to improve agriculture? As you know, obviously, land was reallocated to the black masses of our people, or rather to Zimbabweans in general. And so some of it is unproductive, just because people do not have the means to purchase the infrastructure to be able to work on those farms. So I think that there needs to be an opening up of land, of farmland, to investors who can actually come and be productive on the land. What does that mean? I think that the land should be commercialized. I think that those who did get land, albeit part of it is controversial. I think first, a land audit has to be done. A proper land audit has to be done. And once a proper land audit is done, and making sure that there are no people with multiple farms, 3, 4 farms, and so forth, and making sure that each person who has been allocated only has one farm or one piece of land, then I do think that once that proper audit has been done and concluded, then I do think that the land needs to be commercialized or monetized, where if one decides to get into a partnership, or should an investor want to come and buy a piece of land for farming purposes, they can be able to. And what I'm coming to here is really the title deed issue. I think that it is sound that people should have title, but I don't quite agree with how things are and how this issue is being implemented from the ZANU-PF perspective. I don't think a proper audit has been done in terms of making sure that there's no multiple ownership of farms. I don't think that the issue of allocation of title deeds is being done properly and correctly, without any corruption around the issue of title deeds. I also do not agree that people should have to pay to get those title deeds, because there's a fee from the Gazette that was issued 2025 around the issue of title, that each person was going to have to pay a certain amount of money to acquire the farms, and failure of which these farms would be reacquired by the government. I do not think that people should have to pay. I think that in however haphazard way the land reform happened, What just needs to be done is a proper audit, no multiple ownership of farms. And once that is done, I think title should be given, and so that we can open up the land to commercial production. What that means is, should one want to purchase the farm and start to commercialize the farm, you know, it allows capital to come into agriculture, proper capital to come into agriculture, proper financing to come into agriculture. Because right now, a farmer cannot really go out there into the commercial market or to try to get financing with a 99-year lease. A lot of the financial institutions, especially the global financial institutions, would not be willing, especially when there's no guarantee that whoever is farming there is going to be there, in terms of the ownership of that land. So I think that there's a lot of potential in our land. We have fertile land. We have land enough to feed the nation in terms of the maize crop, wheat production, tobacco production, and we need to diversify our agriculture, to from cash crops, also to the food security of our country. If you look at the timber industry, that's another area that we need to look at. If we look at the cattle, the livestock, we need to make sure that we can be able to produce beef that can be exported to the United States, to the United Kingdom, all over the world. But I think the issue really is commercializing, unlocking the commercial value in our land so that finance can start to go into the land. And those who own the land can access capital and can be able to access the markets to export their product.
Thank you very much. So you agree with the principle of land redistribution, but you disagree with the modality.
Yes.
Agree with the issue of title deed, but you
Yes.
disagree with the way it is being done. You I've articulated that I think if we make farming as a business, they can be capital going into Zimbabwe. That ties
Correct.
to my next question. Uh, what are the biggest barriers preventing investors from coming to Zimbabwe? And for yourself, you are in the United States and I'm in the United Kingdom. If you were advising a foreign investor today, would you tell them Zimbabwe is open for business?
If so, in terms of foreign direct investment into Zimbabwe, if I was to advise a potential investor, let's say an insurance company, they're thinking of expanding, to open, to sell the insurance products in Zimbabwe. I think I would say that there are several risks with the investment that you need to be aware of. There is a monetary risk, a currency risk that you may face, in terms of your investment. So if you're going to put in capital, let's say you decide to invest about $50 million into to grow an insurance business in Zimbabwe, I would say that that capital may be difficult to extract out of Zimbabwe, just because of the many regulations, the instability of the currency issue, where you can wake up one day and you're told that, we've completely done with this currency, the bond currency. As of today, it's no longer legal tender, and then starting tomorrow, we are now starting to use the ZiG. There's a time when people woke up to be told that the United States denominated accounts were now being converted to bond accounts. If you are a foreign investor, you need to be very analytical to do your risk assessment, to make sure that you're not losing your investment in terms of the monetary aspect of that money. As an investor, if I'm putting $50 million into this insurance company that I intend to establish in Zimbabwe, am I going to be able to get my dividends out? When my insurance company is doing well, it's highly profitable. Um, the company gives us a dividends of maybe 25 million that year. Am I going to be able to extract the money out of Zimbabwe? Number two, I would look at the tax regime. Um, Zimbabwe does not participate in a lot of tax treaties around the world. For example, if you're looking at the tax treaty between the United States and Zimbabwe, there's no such treaty. And as such, if I'm going to be going into Zimbabwe for business, my income, the income that my company is going to generate, is going to be subject to double taxation. And so it is very critical for the company to understand that if you're going to be paying taxes, one, on the income then you're generating in Zimbabwe, and then on any income that you repatriate back to the United States. So there's a double taxation issue that needs to be considered. The political issues is also something of concern. The illegitimacy, the issue that Zimbabweans continue to contest elections year after year after year. So the political environment tends to be very volatile. I'm thinking about the infrastructure of the country as well. How good is the infrastructure to sustain an insurance company? Um, how much claims? Let's say you're opening an insurance company to do with health or property. Are the roads good enough to where there's good risk where we can be able to be profitable? So there's a lot of risks that are involved in doing business in Zimbabwe. But I think the thing that worries me most is mainly the issue of political contestation, the poor transition of governance from one election to the other that results in all these currency instabilities is what would worry me. The issue of corruption is what would worry me. So I would not say I would discourage a company from going to do business in Zimbabwe, but I would make them aware of the risks that I've just explained right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So you bring some investors, but you tell them where to rise.
Yeah, definitely. Because some companies like to take risks, right? Some companies are willing they're willing to take a certain amount of risk as long as they know that they can get a good profit margin out of what they want to do. So you cannot completely say do not enter the Zimbabwean market. Do not. You cannot really say that. But you just have to make them aware that there are certain risks that you need to be aware of. You're going to be subject to double taxation. There is issues of inflation. The market itself, the elasticity of the Zimbabwean market. Do you have a big enough disposable income where people can be able to buy the insurance products that you're setting up? So out of the 50 million that you're investing in Zimbabwe, can you actually actualize or turn over a profit? There's an issue of that. A lot of people are not insured. Homes in Zimbabwe, a lot of people are not paying insurance on their homes. That's why you find a lot of those houses that get burnt, people can never recover because the insurance premiums are way too high. And so if an insurance company comes to me and say, "Hey, we want to put $50 million," I say, "Okay, you can invest 50 million, but you might lose it because maybe the market is not there. the people do not have enough disposable income to where they are thinking to insure their homes. So some people are foregoing insurance. So you go in there, you invest $50 million, but you don't get enough policyholders to make a profit. And really, I'm just giving purely an insurance business example.
Thank you very much. And let's listen to one song and go to the next.
Thank you.
Manonda kundibona kandisisima avana simba sangru paraza vanonda kundibona kandisisima avana simba sangamiri kubaraza ipandino pamba sangamiri ndangariri vanonda kundiparaza pavana simba vanonda kundiparaza sangamiri oy pandino pamba sangamiri ndione
Welcome back, Munjanja.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
One thing I like about you is, yes, you observe there are some issues in Zimbabwe, the political, economic, but you are passionate about bringing change. And you have shown that you are part of the National Democratic Working Group. Can you just in a nutshell tell our viewers what is National Democratic Working Group?
Yeah. So the National Democratic Working Group is an organ of a mass-driven process to engage, to dialogue, to consult, and restore the people power to the masses of our nation so that they can themselves determine the future of our country. The National Democratic Working Group was an idea that was born out of our chief facilitator, Job Sarowiwa Sikala, during the time of his incarceration in Chikurubi. And so shortly after he was released from Chikurubi, I don't know if you remember during that time when he came out, he was met with people. It was at night, and he said, Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe, nyika yedu, Zimbabwe." That was when the journey of the National Democratic Working Group began. Shortly after that, He met with many other like-minded revolutionaries, and they decided in Marondera, I think the date is March 3rd of 2024, to start the National Democratic Working Group. When they met, they decided that they were going to deploy each other all over the country to consult with the masses of our people. So, and that's what we did. We embarked on a mass mobilization campaign, a grassroots campaign, where it was a door-to-door conversation. Taienda kumamisha, we continue to go there, kumamisha, in the cities, in Harare, Tukwiza, Mashingo, Manicaland, Mash West, Mash Central, mobilizing and talking to people. That's how we started. We were just really talking to people, Kuti, what do we do with this situation of our country? If you remember, shortly after 2023 elections, we had the resignation of Nelson Chamisa. We had the Chabangu debacle, and the opposition was just in complete disarray. There was nothing left. And we said, Zimbabwe cannot exist without an opposition. We refused that. And we said, let's have this movement. Let's establish a movement. And we were very deliberate about it. We said, we don't want a political party until we get the mandate from the people. So takaenda kuma misha, kuma cities, we talked to people. I met people there in Manicaland, met people from Chimanimani, from Chipinge, all over Manicaland. And we talked and we met and we tried to understand, Kuti, what do we do? And so our mission, we said we are going to have a bottom-up approach in terms of our political ideology. And what does that mean? That means that the governance comes from the people. The people are the ones who are going to empower the movement from the bottom, and we rise together to the top. And so that's what we have done. Right now, as we speak, we now have 12 provinces, and we have structures in all of our provinces. We just recently were doing an audit of our structures, and we just almost completed it. And we now know what's going on. We have structures that are performing very well, which I will not quite divulge here, but we have structures that are doing very well. We have districts. We have district chairpersons, organizing secretaries. We have treasurers in all these 12 provinces. Are they performing the same? No, I would not lie here to the public to say, could see they're all functioning well, but they're there. If any Zimbabwean wants to find a home, a structure somewhere, you let us know. We'll send you to the right persons, contact persons or chairpersons. If you are in Chitungwiza, if you are in Harare, if you are in Midlands South, Midlands North, if you are in Matebeleland North, Matebeleland South, we have chairpersons there. In Blawayo, in Mashingo, we have structures, Misha, and it is the proudest thing that I've enjoyed to do. It is the humblest work I've ever done, because we came to the masses of our people with nothing, because everyone was so dejected. Kuti Chabangu akauya akadestroya. Then Nelson Chamisa resigned. So people were hopeless. So we started with nothing from the bottom, but we started one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. And now we have structures in Zimbabwe. We have the diaspora structures in the UK where you are, in the United States, in Canada, in Botswana, in South Africa. So the National Democratic Working Group, as we speak today, is the largest political movement in our country. That I can confirm to you today. And we are asking fellow Zimbabweans to join us, to work with us. We are building a movement for the people. We are building a movement built by the people. And we are a movement that is not incentivized by positions. We are a movement for Zimbabwe. We want to see the transformation of our country. That is what is inspiring what we're doing. Hatina basa nezvigaro kana kuti toda kuzodii tapinda muhurumende. Isu, we want to transform our country. We want to work for our country, to be a true civil servant of the people of Zimbabwe. Kuti titye vanhu, to do work uchitya vanhu venyika, because ndo vanhu vane simba. To deliver uchitya kuti vanhu vakandipa this ability or this position to deliver. And that's what we want to do, to make sure that every cent, every taxpayer dollar that a Zimbabwean pays, it goes back to improve their lives. So that's what we've been doing, building the infrastructure around it. It is solid, led by our chief facilitator, Job Saruwiwa Scala. And we have two. We have our facilitator. We have our Southern Region facilitator, Zenzo Nkomo. We have our Northern Region facilitator, Dr. Uraya Izembe. They are leading our organization. And just this weekend, as you know, we just elected our women president through a very democratic, nice electoral process. We are enjoying politics. We are enjoying mobilization. Once more, once again, it feels good. You know, that's all I can say.
Right. Those who want to know where you can find the structure near you, we have got an email at the bottom there. We can direct you to where you can be. You have said something profound that you went door to door, having a conversation. What did they say?
You know, and I want to be very honest here. When we first started, a lot of people were saying, kuti, you know, takamirira wachamisa and all this thing, we're not sure where we are. You know, that's what the conversation started off with. But, you know, our value proposition is that we always said we are enemies to none. We are friends to all. Misha, the National Democratic Working Group is a friend to Nelson Chamisa, is a friend to Tendai Biti, is a friend to Ibo Mandas. We don't do this thing of enemies. So why we say that? Why is that our position? Because we are suffering the same in our country. The struggle is the same. Magetsi kana aenda kwako aendawo kwangu. Vana kana vari kutiri kunetseka neschool fees, tiri tese. That's what we say to the people. We are suffering, all of us. And we're enemies to none. We will work with any progressive politician or political organization in Zimbabwe. We will work with Nelson Chamisa in areas of common interest. We will work with Jacob Ngaruvume. We will work with Mnyaradzi Kwisai. We will work with Tendai Biti. And we have done that, you know. And so that's what we pataita madoti, that's what we express to the people. And titaitaura kuti isu tiri kupa simba kwamuri, kuti imi ndimi muchave muchitiudza kuti direction yemusangano, direction yeZimbabwe muda kuti iende kupi. Isusu hatisisiri movement kana kuti, you know, bato rinoda kuudza vanhu kuti munoita so, itai so, itai so. No. And we said, if you become part of us, we don't micromanage. You manage your structures. You do as you feel, kuti, this is how we want to build our structures. The power resides in you, the masses. We are not an organization yekuti Job Scala anouya achiudza vanhu ari kwake kufacilitator kuti vanhu itai so. No. People are the ones who come and they empower. They make the decisions, which are the decisions that become the national decision. So out of that, I think people became more comfortable with what we're trying to do, and people started joining. And that's how we now have structures all over Zimbabwe and all over the world. And we are enjoying it. We 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 just believe that let the structures function, empower the structures. Don't overimpose yourself on structures. Let them function in the way that they should function.
Thank you very much for letting the viewers know what the National Democratic Working Group is.
Thank you.
Let's talk about now. We are saying it's going to be an alternative to the system that is there.
Yes.
Talk about your economic view. What makes the approach for National Democratic Working Group different from the current system of landscape?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, our blueprint is very, very simple. Number one, you want to stop the leakages of corruption. That is the first thing that a National Democratic Working Group government would do. We need to stop the leakages due to corruption. What does that mean? We would make sure that the tender process within our country is done independently and that parties are given equal opportunity to bid, and that whenever any entity wins a tender for any government project, that they are maintaining standards, that they are delivering what they promised to do. There should be transparency in the tender processes, which means that whenever there is a tender, the public must be allowed to see the value of the tender, the period, to be able to be involved in the bidding processes of these tenders. In an economy of Zimbabwe, that's number one, corruption. We have to address the issue of corruption. Anyone who is in government, we will be serious that there should be a lifestyle audit. People must declare their assets, what they own annually to government, so that there is accountability for everyone occupying a government position. There should be a government audit of the offices of government, proper reviews to make sure that each government unit is operating effectively and efficiently. Are people working and delivering what they're supposed to be doing in all these ministries? So those are the things, the small but simple things that a National Democratic Working Group government would start with. Corruption, making sure that the government offices, there's a proper audit and that they're working efficiently and effectively. Number three would be digitalization of government. There are a lot of inefficiencies within our government. Sometimes you go to a government office, you see them using paper and pen to take up for someone to register, even for an ID or a passport. We need to digitalize our government. All the government units must be interlinked. Zimbabweans should be able to apply for certain things, to access certain things digitally through an e-government platform. I think that's something that would be very important. We need all government offices to have computers from students all the way to the highest office of our land. They must be using digital equipment. We cannot continue to accept a title deeds office, for example, where title deeds, they are coming out of drawers. That has cost a lot of people, right? How many people have lost properties because of this title deed issue? So when I'm talking about the digitalization of our government, the National Democratic Working Group, we want to address this particular issue of digitalizing these offices so that Zimbabweans can be able to get efficient and effective services from government. The government of the National Democratic Working Group is going to focus on infrastructure. Mija, infrastructure is of critical importance if you want to unlock the economy. We need to make sure that our roads meet international standards so that the transportation of goods and services can be done efficiently and effectively. There's no reason why we continue to have a Harare Bridge Road or a Victoria Falls Road that is ridden in potholes, and that is not a dual carriageway. In our government, it will be a priority to really try to rehabilitate our roads, to expand our highway network, and where possible, to make sure that they are dual highways, which also improves the safety of our citizens. There's no reason why we cannot do that. We just talked about the minerals that our country has. Some of those minerals can be is what you use to manufacture tar, which is for the roads. So there's no reason why our roads are in the deplorable state that they are. But we would dedicate an infrastructure program to improve the roads and networks of our country. We need to stabilize our electrical grid. Electricity. You asked me whether I would, encourage a foreign investor to come into Zimbabwe. That's one of the issues. Infrastructure. If you are going to open a Tesla plant in Zimbabwe, they're going to need a proper, stable electrical grid so as to manufacture what they need to manufacture. If we, as the National Democratic Government, National Democratic Working Group government, we're going to attract Hyundai to come back and start to manufacture cars in Zimbabwe, we must have consistent, a stable electrical grid. And it can be done. It's not difficult. It can be done. But we will need to take a pragmatic approach to fix the things that need to be fixed first, and then to expand the electric grid. We talked about coal. Let's use our coal more effectively and efficiently where we can be able to supply electricity. And one thing that comes to mind, even within a policy framework from a National Democratic Working Group perspective, is why we could actually explore the possibilities of privatizing electricity production and services. Let's allow private players to come in and actually produce electricity and sell the electricity for a profit to the country. That is an absolute possibility that the National Democratic Working Group would look at. So then we talk about the monetary issue, the currency. In my opinion, I would revert back to the United States dollar to stabilize the economy first. That's what we would do. I think that is absolutely critical as we start to govern. We need to stabilize the currency. Should a country have its own currency that works? Yes, I agree with that. But this is not the time. We are not there yet. And I've already said to you, we have this bond currency out there. They just brought out the Z currency. You saw those new notes that they were putting out there. But how many people are actually using them? How many people want them? Most people are transacting in United States currency anyway. So why not just formalize it and make it official? When we get to a point where we feel that the economy is stable, we can always revert to the Zimbabwe dollar, but it will be a proper, stable currency. But there will not be any rush to do that. in our policy framework. So, I'll stop there. There are many things we can talk about: agriculture, mining, the leakages that are going on in mining, and how we can stop the leakages from happening so that the money can go back to the development of the country. We can talk about those, but I'll let you come in.
Yeah, thank you very much for articulating quite a number of economic policies, from stopping leakages, also being disciplined in the different government departments that work, the digitalization and the e-government system. Um, let's look at the region.
Okay.
In the Zimbabwean government that you were part of, what role would Zimbabwe play in regional trade with SADC and the African Union? Remember, there's the Indo-Africa Continental Trade Area that is now coming into effect. So can you come and comment on that?
Yeah, I want to underscore one thing about the economy before I move on to the regional issues. Healthcare will be a priority for the National Democratic Working Group. We cannot afford to keep losing Zimbabwean lives unnecessarily. There are a lot of people who are dying from preventable health situations in our country. And it's an untold story, because once a family is going through a health situation with their family member, inenge iri problem yemhuri iyoyo. And some of these issues do not make it to the national discussion. But a lot of families they're losing loved ones every single day, either because of the lack of medical equipment, even things as basic as blood, medicines, and just the lack of proper care in a National Democratic Working Group government. Health care will be top of our priorities. We cannot allow Zimbabwean citizens to continue to die unnecessarily. That is totally unacceptable. And so part of our approach goes down to the infrastructure. Let's make sure that our clinics, our hospitals, we start to rehabilitate those. We start to even make sure that things like blood are easily accessible and easily affordable to every single Zimbabwean. No Zimbabwean must go to a hospital needing a blood transfusion and be told that they cannot be given because havana mari. This is not acceptable, and it will be a priority in the National Democratic Working Group government to make sure that every Zimbabwean is receiving the healthcare that they so deserve. Now, moving on to regional. The first priority in terms of regional is always to engage first of all with the SADC, with our SADC friends. When you look at the economy of Zimbabwe or the geolocation of Zimbabwe, we have Mozambique on the east there, so we have access to the port through Mozambique. We have South Africa, which there's a lot of travel that's already going on. We have the DRC, we have Zambia, we have Botswana. All these countries that are surrounding our country, we want to make sure that there is ease of movement, which means visa requirements. We must remove all these restrictions around visa requirements. Let people from Zambia travel across into Zimbabwe as they so desire. All they need to do is present their passport, stamp, they move. So we want to make sure that there's a free movement of people and of commerce. We want to improve our ports of entry. And I think there's been work that has been done even by ZANU-PF itself, improving the border over there in Plumtree and some of our borders. we want to even expand more into that to make sure it's part of that digitalization process. People should not have to spend hours and hours on our borders. We also want to find how we can work through the value addition of our minerals within the SADC region. We should be able to add value to our minerals within the region, even from a regional perspective, where we can say that maybe South Africa has more capacity, maybe Botswana has more capacity, maybe Zambia has more capacity, but as a National Democratic Working Group, we are going to find that symbiotic relationship that allows us to unlock the value of our countries, so that our minerals, when they depart our country, they leave with value. This whole thing that minerals, people are just digging up dirt and traveling, putting them in these trucks and traveling through borders with unprocessed minerals must end. And we must do it within our region. Even the issue of currency integration, I think that's a discussion that we'd like to have with our regional partners to see how we can be able to integrate our currencies. Or is it even possible for SADC to have one regional currency? Maybe we start there. I think that's a conversation that the National Democratic Working Group would have to say, hey, SADC, what can we do in terms of our currency? So there are many things in terms of tourism. There's a lot of, you look at the Gona Rejo National Park over there, Victoria Falls over there with Zambia. How can we even make it better in terms of the improving the tourism economy between the different countries? How can we be able to complement the tourism in South Africa to make sure even that there's an overspill of tourists who are coming to South Africa who end up in Zimbabwe as well? So we talk about the airlines. The National Democratic Working Group wants to make sure that there is good connectivity between our airlines. We also want tourists who are coming from South Africa to also jump into Zimbabwe and also come to visit our beautiful country. Same thing with Zambia. Same thing with Mozambique. So from a regional perspective, there's going to be those sort of discussions around the economy, around infrastructure, around currency. Even when you talk about the struggles of Zimbabweans in South Africa, National Democratic Working Group will prioritize to make sure that Zimbabweans are treated with dignity in South Africa. This inhumane treatment of the masses of our people in South Africa, National Democratic Working Group will not accept it. Zimbabweans must be treated with respect and with dignity. And to make sure that if so, there is any issues that we need to be involved in terms of protecting our people across borders, we are communicating within government to government, but to make sure that they are treated well. They have a right to receive healthcare in South Africa if they're in South Africa. They should not be turned away when they're there. But these are the things that would also prioritize the issue of migration, the issue of immigration. And as such, which is why the economy will be a big priority, so as to stop the emigration of Zimbabweans, the continuous emigration of Zimbabweans into South Africa. We want the economy to improve to the extent that Zimbabweans want to stay in Zimbabwe, to enjoy Zimbabwe, and those who in South Africa are starting to want to move back home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Those watching on YouTube, on Champion Network TV or NDW TV, put your comment in the chat box. Mr. Munjanja will respond. And if you feel there's a WhatsApp number there, you can call. We will hear you, then respond to your question. Now let's start with the market, man.
Okay, let's go.
Why should Zimbabweans trust in a National Democratic Working Group to deliver economic change when many political promises in the past?
Yeah, I think that's a very, very good question. Uh, the trust between opposition leaders and the masses of our people and the ability to deliver has been eroded. That is something that I can accept, to say that we have a big challenge. The question is, what is different about us as the National Democratic Working Group? The National Democratic Working Group is made up of people who are truly in this journey for the transformation of our country. When I said that we went to the masses of our people to talk to our people, the message that we put across is, we are here, we are in this to transform Zimbabwe. That is all we want. We want to transform Zimbabwe to where the important discussions of the day are things of employment, where the citizens of our country can pursue their lives without feeling that they need to be connected to politics, without feeling that kuti rega ndipinde politics ndo kune mari. We want to put an end to that. Business, private businesses, corporations is where we want every Zimbabwean to envision as the place that they will make a living, that they will do the pursuit of happiness through hard work, through opening their own businesses, through opening their own companies, through working hard, getting promotions, and all these things. This idea now, where we live in now, where everyone can just start to say, politics ndo kune mari. You need to be connected to a politician. You need to be connected to Zigananda, this and that. That's not what we're about. We want to give back the power of emancipation, the power of wealth, the power of opening businesses and actualizing profitability and success and prosperity back to ingenuity, the ability for Zimbabweans to be innovative, to open businesses that become profitable. So what we are coming in to government to do is to stabilize the economy. And I am confident that we can be trusted by that, because we are surrounded by leaders who are humble, who are dedicated to the people. And one example of that is our own leader, Job Sikala. He inspires us, he inspires me in how he leads. And I'm confident, very 100% confident, that he is in this for the people of Zimbabwe. And the people can trust that he will deliver for the people of Zimbabwe and not for him. Job Sikala still lives in Sengeza there, Misha, with his family. He could have chosen a path that many politicians have chosen to take. But I remember having a conversation with him and he said, no, Munjanja, inini ndinogara kuno kuzengeza muvanhu. Ndo mandakatangira and handibudi muno, ndinogara muvanhu. And that is what helps me to understand the struggle yevanhu, because paanotenga madomasi, paanotenga chingwa, paanotenga mukaka, ndo pandinoendawo. That's where I go. And that ethos, that culture is what the National Democratic Working Group is about. We are surrounded by people who truly want to see a better Zimbabwe. We are not, our leadership is not about people who are looking for political positions or dreaming up, kuti if I become a political leader, I get into parliament, I get all these opportunities. No, no, no. We're not in that for that. I don't want any of those things. I have no desire for those things. All I've ever wanted myself is for the people of Zimbabwe to get the opportunities that they so deserve. And what I would desire to do is do my very honest work to improve the lives of the people of Zimbabwe. If it means stopping the issue of corruption, plugging the leakages due to corruption, the infrastructure, making sure that government is working more efficiently, that's all we want. We want Zimbabwe to work for all of us, not for a few individuals. We are not trying to govern so that our lives can be better. We are trying to govern so that the lives of the 15 million people of Zimbabwe is better. And the people of Zimbabwe can trust us with that. And also, why should they trust us? We have built a political movement with literally very little resources. We are not funded by any organization or anything. It's been the sacrifices of every leader in our movement. You know, some people will donate chickens, chibage, mapoto, you know, fuel. That's how we move. When we meet, some people will donate chickens and then we cook, we eat lunch. Some people will donate goats, so many things, cooking oil for our events. That's who we are. That is the fabric of the National Democratic Working Group. We are not fancy. We are not elite. Opposition had become elite, political elites, you know, the ones who move around with all these fancy things and so forth. No, we are not that. We are grounded in Ubuntu, the true African spirit of humbleness and kindness and love and respect for the people of our country. This is why the people of Zimbabwe must, or rather should be able to have confidence in that we can deliver. We love the people of Zimbabwe. We want to work for the people of Zimbabwe in our humble submission for them. That's what we want to do for them, not for us. We are not elitist. We are not elite politicians. We don't brag. We don't do all these things. We just live, reside, and mobilize in the masses of our people. And that is what we represent. And I believe out of that frugality, we're frugal. With how we use our resources, frugal. When we have a dollar, we know how to maximize, to extend the propensity of a dollar to be effective. I often say to people in our movement, the way we operate today must be reflect how we want to operate as a governing party, which means the way we use our financial resources, our resources in our party, must be frugal. We must extend the propensity of a dollar to its maximum capacity. Zero wastage, no wastage. And we must respect that dollar. Unofana kurichka dora irorero. I cannot mess around with this money. It is not my money. This is people's money. And when people have contributed, they are expecting something out of this thing. And that's the approach. That's the culture. That's the environment of the National Democratic Working Group. We are frugal. Misha. So people can trust us with their money. We are not here to just play around with money and donate things and what we've seen with these Mbinga things. No. Every dollar must go where it is supposed to go. Mone kunaka kuneta nyika. You will see the effectiveness of money for the 15 million people of our country. So I really think that people can trust us with that. Or at least they can give us that opportunity to demonstrate what we can do.
But that brings me to the next question. You said, if people have given you the opportunity, if you fail to deliver economic improvement within 5 years, would people hold you to account, or will you do what the others do to say now 2030?
Never, ever can we try to impose a mandate from the people. Never. We are true Democrats at heart. At heart, we want Zimbabwe to be a democracy at heart. This is why I said this is not about us. We want democracy. We want people to exercise their right to vote. If after 5 years we fail, let the people of Zimbabwe decide freely, democratically. Kuti NDWG makatirasa papa chiendai ku-touchline takumbopinzawo wamwe. We want that. We want it. We are not trying to be here to impose on ourselves and to be, well, no, never, never. We want to unlock the channel to democracy. Where if after 5 years, the people of our country are not happy, they'll kick us out. That's okay. You failed. We failed. This is what happens in true democracies just here in the United States of America. Joe Biden, he got 4 years and people were like, no. We are not happy. He was out. They voted him out. That's democracy. Barack Obama came, he delivered for 8 years. He delivered his first 4 years. He campaigned, he got another 4 years. But he's since left. Why can Zimbabwe not be like that? We want to work for that. That's what we are fighting for. This Zimbabwe that we talk about, Misha, it is going to exist in perpetuity beyond our time. There are generations who are going to be having these interviews far when we are gone. So what are we doing now? We are fighting to put Zimbabwe on the right path, so that when we are gone, our citizens who never know us, who never understand who fought for this, can be able to enjoy these things. ZANU-PF may think that they've put a chokehold and that they can be able to sustain this. It is not sustainable. This fight for democracy, at some point, we're going to achieve it very, very soon. But to answer your question, yes, after 5 years, if we fail and the people say, it's fine, let them choose their next leader.
Right, yes, we are now winding down.
Yes.
In one sentence, what does a prosperous Zimbabwe look like under the National Democratic Way?
It will be a country of joy and happiness.
I know the 10-year-old who is maybe in Harare or Oloch or wherever, the mother who is listening, there is someone in the diaspora who is listening, there is a leader in the Standard Bridge, there is someone in ZANU-PF government who is listening. Can one give one piece of advice to any one of these?
I'll just say we are all human. We are part of humanity. Let's love each other. Let's respect each other. Let's be kind to each other. And let's try to live amongst each other, even despite our many differences, in good harmony, in good respect, in good love of each other. That's all I can say. And to that mother, there's hope. There's hope on the future for your child. Things are going to get better. To that person in the diaspora, I know your struggle. I see it every day. Zimbabweans are struggling in the diaspora. We, as the National Democratic Working Group, want for Zimbabweans to be part of a country that they feel like they can return to be part of, to be reunited with their families, their loved ones, to go back to a city in Zimbabwe where you want to live with your family, with your wife, with your children, and just enjoy being part of your family. All these years that you've missed, you left maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago. The National Democratic Working Group is fighting for you so that we can be able to establish a country, an economy, a political environment that you feel you can come to and succeed. And to the young and the youth, so that when you graduate, you get a good job, a job that pays your bills. You move into your nice little flat there, you buy a nice car, you marry the love of your life, you have your family. And to those who are retiring, you retire in decency. You have a good pension, you enjoy your grandchildren. When you're not well, you get good checkups at the hospital, and you live a decent life. That's what we want to, that's what we are fighting for, and that's how we will govern the country of Zimbabwe, given the opportunity by the masses of our people.
Thank you very much. And Singapore,
Yeah, I'm sad it's coming to an end. I was just getting started, just warming up.
we have a second episode.
Yeah. Tata kupinda chaimo chaimo manje. Tata kupinda mu campaign mode.
And as well, not campaign second hour.
That sounds good. That sounds good. I greatly appreciate this opportunity, Mija and Champions Network TV. Thank you so much. And also on behalf of the National Democratic Working Group, we thank you for inviting us. On behalf of our chief facilitator, Job Sikala, we thank you for inviting us. And for the many followers that you have here, we thank you for your audience. Thank you so much.
As we come to a close tonight discussion, one message stood out clearly. The future of Zimbabwe must be built on one, accountability, transparency, and leadership that listens to people. The vision presented by the National Democratic Working Group is one that places citizens at the center of governance, where public leaders are answerable to people, where national resources are managed responsibly, and where economic policies are designed to uplift every Zimbabwean, not just a few. Ultimately, the success of any nation depends on the leadership that is people-driven, accountable, and committed to common good. Thank you, Tafadzwa Munjanja, for joining us tonight. And thank you for our viewers for being part of this conversation. I always say this conversation starts, that's the beginning of the conversation. When you listen again, you have a conversation with yourself. When you listen again, you ask your neighbor. When you listen again, you come back to us and put some comments in the chat box and ask questions. And when we do the second episode, we'll be responding to them. And this Champions Network TV, in collaboration with National Democratic Working Group TV, where dialogue shapes the future. Good night and stay engaged. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.